Hello, hello. Whoo! I am an enhancer, not a reactor. I just want everybody to understand that. We're going to watch some Asmongold. And we've been talking money. We've been talking shrinkflation. We've been talking grocery stores and the shame. I want a shame bell right now, everybody. Just shame the corporations. Just shame them all. Just shame them. I'm shaming it. Ringing the shame bell.
Shame. Shame.
I see E-Rad saying, ouch, 46 minutes. He can't handle it. I understand. We face it every single day, E-Rad. You're like, I don't need this shit. I see this enough in my real life, says E-Rad. He's in Taiwan. He's dealing with this shit. Probably not. He's probably doing better than most Americans right now. But let's see what Asmon's watching here. How the U.S. is destroying young people's future. Let's do this. We're not going to probably watch all 46 minutes of it. When you guys get tired of it, just throw up some ones. And don't do it now. I know you're going to do it right now. But I want to watch just a little bit because I'm not done with my ranting and being upset at the world and watching our government simply destroy our purchasing power and basically steal our wealth from us through quantitative easing. We know what you're doing. You're paying your debt with more debt. You're using a credit card to pay off another credit card. Shame on you, America. Shame. Actually, shame on the politicians for stealing this long. People, wake up. Shame those politicians. All of them. Democrats, shame. Republicans, I don't care, shame. Libertarians. Every single one of you are greedy. Every single goddamn one of you are greedy. We need a whole new incentive system for our government. Shame them. Wake them up. I'm going to Paul Revere this bitch. I'm Paul Revering this bitch right now.
My name's Scott Galloway.
We watched this guy on, it was like CNN, and I really liked what he was saying, and so apparently he did a TED Talk.
I like this Scott Galloway. He doesn't pull any punches. If you've seen him before, he says it like it is. I dig this dude.
And it's been linked to me a lot.
NYU, and I appreciate your time. I have 44 slides in 720 seconds. Let's light this candle. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm actually a global television store. True story.
Yes, Coob,
I've had 4 TV series in the last 3 years. 2 of them have been canceled before they were launched, and 2 were canceled within 6 weeks. Let's recap.
If we want to juice this thing, if we want to put a cattle prod up the ass of the economy.
Damn.
Bloomberg, the most trusted name in financial news. Not for long.
I'm going to do whatever I can.
That guy's in shape, man. That's impressive.
For this country.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Jeez, come on, dude. You're 0 for 2. Are you stuck?
He's jacked, yeah.
Face for podcasting. So first insight of the day, I'd like to be the first person to welcome.
Does he have to show off his body, though? Was that necessary? Do you feel like he just put that in there because he's like, I'm going to show everybody my body because my face is just meh?
Welcome you.
I understand that. I understand. I'm going to get naked right now. I understand.
To the last tag. Okay.
Right, Walker, right.
By the way, it's clear. What's
totally
it called? What are we
ruined,
here for? The Brave and the Brilliant. It's clear that Chris is a frustrated soap opera producer. Essentially what we have here is a telenovela where after a night of unbridled passion between Bill Gates and Malcolm Gladwell, they give birth to their bastard love child, Simon Sinek. Okay.
I didn't get that.
I start us with a question. Do we love our children?
No.
Sounds like an illegitimate question, right? Well, I'm going to try and convince you otherwise.
Yeah.
Essentially, as we go down generations, we're seeing that for the last 2 generations, people are making less money on an inflation-adjusted basis. In addition,
the 14, 17, 42, that's real bad. That's crazy.
The cost of buying a home, the cost of pursuing education continues to skyrocket. So the purchasing power, the prosperity is inversely correlated to age. Simply put, as we get younger, we're taking away opportunity and prosperity from our youngest. The social contract that is now no longer in place.
Yeah, this is why kids hate capitalism, by the way. It's like if you're growing up and you're like 19 and the only way that you can go and, go to college is if you take out a fucking blood pact, a Faustian pact with the debt devil for $60,000 so you can finally it's
because the system's broken. It's because there's not enough people get involved on a level that actually dethrones these corrupt motherfuckers. a lot of people think what the fuck, it doesn't matter anyway. And that's the worst mindset to ever have, man. People forgot how to be citizens. People forgot how to get involved. People forgot how to take these motherfuckers out of office that are ineffective. You know, and we need to get back and involved in it. We need to become Americans again and quit sitting down and watching our favorite sitcom. You know what I'm saying? We need to start getting a little bit more active up in here, because these motherfuckers come in and they'll steal everything you have. And that's exactly what's happening. So I would say this to everyone at every age, whether you're a kid or older than that, just start getting a little bit more involved. I hate politics. I really do. But I'm going to start becoming more active. And if you don't see the people that you want to vote for, then become the people. Then become the person that gets the votes. Like, really, I think that at the end of the day is the message. If you don't see somebody, like for me, I'm looking at Biden and Trump and I'm like, I don't want to vote for either one. Like, I think it's time I become president. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to run for president, by the way. I'm putting in my nomination. I'm putting it in. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. It's time for action. It's time I run for president of the United States.
For 4 years, get a job working at Starbucks. Yeah, man, like maybe communism isn't so bad. I mean, really, if you look at it from their perspective, it makes a lot of sense.
First time in the U.S.'s history, a 30-year-old is no longer doing as well as his or her parents were at 30. This is a breakdown in the fundamental agreement we have with any society, and it creates rage and shame. As a result, people over the age of 55 feel pretty good about America.
Thank you,
but
let's
less
go.
than
Thank
1
you.
in 5
I don't know
people
why the
under
alert
the
didn't
age
come
of
up.
34 feel very good about America.
Parents of U.S. adults are extremely proud to be American.
Thank you. And that will be my vice president right there, Kuwato DG. You will have me and you will have Kuwato DG. He looks a little crazy, but he knows what he's doing. He is my running mate. He is my partner. Kuwato DG and DG 360 running 2024. We're going to make things happen. That's my slogan. We're going to make things happen, motherfuckers. That's going to be on my t-shirt. That's going to be all of our t-shirts. I like it. I like the slogan.
Well, I'm part of that 18%. I think America's the greatest country ever. I'm very proud to be part of this country, even though I think there's a lot of things that are wrong with it.
This creates an incendiary. Righteous movements, cuts to our society end up becoming opportunistic infections, because generally speaking, young people have a warranted envy. They're pissed off and they're angry that they don't enjoy the same spoils and prosperity that were provided to our generation.
Except this time it's not going to be Woodstock, peace, love, smoke some joints, and listen to, you know, Floyd and all those wonderful bands from that era. It's going to be Bloodstock. It's going to be metal. As a dude who loves metal, wow, you know, there's some really tempting in that. Like, it's entertaining, but really when you're in it, not so fun. So we're going to go through like Bloodstock. People are upset. The people in charge aren't doing anything to change it. And everybody's frustrated and starting their own movements and telling people why they're upset. When really at the end of the day, this is what happens when a country starts to fall apart. This is Rome and it's burning. It's tearing apart. We're becoming the divided states of America is exactly what's happening. I personally, putting on the tinfoil hat, think it's a long game that Russia's been playing for about the past 40, 50 years. I don't know. I could be like completely Alex Jones on that shit. But like, it just seems like everything's lining up pretty conspicuously to me. Like, all of a sudden we're divided. You know, I do want to put in the fact that we are to blame for not being proactive about shit, about our government, you know, but in the democracy format, it's a pretty hard setup. But democracy does allow for change pretty quickly, even though it feels like it doesn't because Congress is gridlock. But still one of the better formats for pivoting on changes. But I don't see them lately. So, yeah, I know.
I think also with like social media, it like reminds younger people all the time that they're losers. It's like one thing if you're like 19 and you're barely making it. But every time you pull up social media, there's like a bunch of other people that are like your age that are like millionaires buying like a new house or something like that because they are playing Fortnite, or it's like some OnlyFans girl or something like that. Again, you know, let's go back to communism. You know, let's take away women's right to vote. Let's be a fucking incel. You know, like that's how it happens. It does. It happens.
A decent proxy for how much we value youth labor is minimum wage, and we've kept it purposely pretty low. If it had just kept pace with productivity, it'd be about 23 bucks a share, but we've decided to purposely keep it low. Out of reach, median home price has skyrocketed relative to median household income.
Ooh,
As a result, pre-pandemic, the average mortgage payment was $1,100. It's now $2,300.
Look how it was in 1985.
Yeah, dude.
That's crazy.
Dude, we had it good in the 80s, man. The 80s were the shit. The 80s were the shit. The 90s were the shit. Those were good decades.
What it's going to be like in 2030. I'm sure it'll be better, right, guys? Yeah, it can't keep going like this forever.
Acceleration in interest rates and the fact that the average home has gone from $290,000 to $420,000. By the way, the most expensive homes.
I remember, like, you know what was so crazy? Is that in like 2017, I remember going over to Mitch and Train's apartment, and I remember they were paying like $3,000 for the apartment. And I was like, what the fuck? That is so much money. And just in like less than 10 years, that's become normal. Where do they live?
In the world, based on this metric, are number 3 Vancouver. Why? Because 60% of the cost of building a home goes to permits. Because guess what? The incumbents that own assets have weaponized government to make it very difficult for new entrants to ever get their own assets, thereby elevating their own net worth. This is the trend.
That's such a good comment by Scott Galloway. That is fact. Like, here's the thing that is not financial advice, but what I run my finances by. My rules are: you own the world. What I do is I buy companies that generate revenue, that have profits. I own those companies. I buy assets that are, that I think are valuable, like Bitcoin. Again, this is what I do. Okay. I'm not going to have the Bitcoin discussion. I just see value in it. So I buy things that I see value in that are assets, right? Because that's how the American financial markets are levered. Yes, there's probably going to be a crash. Yes, a lot of shit's going to get crushed probably in the future. But I know that it's not going to get crushed as much as the dollar. You're literally losing purchasing power by the year of 7 to 12% adjusted. Like you're not going to hear that on Bloomberg. You're not going to hear that on CNBC. You're just not. They're not going to tell you that directly. They're part of the system. They're not going to tell you the Ponzi. The Ponzi is cash. I always laugh because people are like, oh, Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme. Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme. Money in itself is a belief system. If enough people believe that something is money, guess what happens? Ooh. It magically becomes money. Why do you think on the American dollar it says, "In God we trust"? They had to get people on the same page back in the day. There was a lot of people back in the day still. They love God. Put the God on the money, people will believe it. All of a sudden, automatically, more people believe in it. They adopt it. It's called adoption. It's called network effect. It's Metcalfe's law. People gravitate to it. Boom, on fire, becomes money. Boom, because people see it. Back in the day, we backed it with hard, tangible assets that you could drop on your foot, commodities like gold, right? The dollar was based upon fractional units of gold. You couldn't carry around gold because it was too heavy, so people just divided it up. The banks held the gold and said, we have this much gold. That much money represented the gold that the banks held. Boom, there you go. I'm not going to talk about the Treasury. I'm not going to talk about the creation of the Federal Reserve. I'm not going to get into that talk. That's a little complex right now. Probably Scott will get into this. But over time, the devaluation of the dollar really happened in 1971 when Nixon, president at the time, decided to get off of the gold standard. And he said, you know what? We're not going to do this anymore. America is not going to do this anymore. We're not going to pay off our gold debts anymore to other countries because we're America and we're Americans, God damn it. And that's what he did. and he took us off that gold standard. And I have this sneaking suspicion that perhaps Fort Knox and other areas that held gold did not have the gold to pay back the debts. That's kind of what I feel like why Nixon came to the conclusion that maybe the dollar shouldn't be backed by gold anymore, which was a terrible move, because when you look at a chart of the value of the dollar, the second Nixon made that decision, the dollar and the value of it collapsed. It collapsed. It's still collapsing. It's 99% less than when it was in the 70s. And there's only like one smidge of a percent of that purchasing power on that dollar left. And it's even still going down. And now we're feeling it because everything around us costs more. That's called inflation. The irony is the things around us are inflating, but the real truth of it is that the dollar is deflating.
Transfer I'm going to be speaking about.
You're going to see Japan
This has resulted
sell all
in
their
enormous
American
transfer of
treasuries.
wealth,
You're going to see
where
it.
people over the age of 70 used to control 19% of household income versus people under the age of 40 used to control 12.
Jesus, that's terrible.
Wow.
Holy fuck.
Wow.
That is, wow.
Wow. Wow.
Boomers gotta go, man.
It isn't by accident. It's purposeful. This is me at UCLA in 1987. I know your first thought.
Man. I have pictures of myself with a lot of hair, too. That sucks.
Is I haven't changed a bit.
Yeah.
This is also Mia Silverio, who is the analyst that put together these slides. By the way, Mia is 26. I did the math. Just by virtue of her being in this audience, it brings the average age of the entire conference down 11 days. When I applied to UCLA...
Yeah, everybody here is fucking old as shit. Like, look at this. Like, yeah, look. There's no way this dude is not subscribed to AARP. Come on.
The admissions rate was 76%. Yeah. Today, it's 9%. I received a 2.23 GPA from UCLA. I learned nothing but how to make bombs out of household items in every line from Planet of the Apes. And the greatest public school in the world, Berkeley, decided to let me in with a 2.27 GPA.
Wow.
And that's what...
2.27. Damn. 2.2? I mean, I had in high school, I was a 2.4.
Higher ed is about. Higher ed is about taking unremarkable kids and giving them a shot at being remarkable.
Yep.
And every year, it's gotten more expensive.
I mean, he probably...
That's a great question. James says, right now, this is out of control spending by representatives needs to stop. How do we make it possible to just print money we don't have? Well, James, great question. And you answered it. You literally answered your own question. And how did it get this way? Why did we keep printing money? Because they keep fucking spending. They literally can't stop spending. They can't give themselves control. They have no control. They're greedy. They can't afford the very basic programs like Social Security anymore, you know, because they just keep spending. And it's so gluttonous. It's so wasteful, James. Some of the things they're spending money on doesn't even make sense. Doesn't even make sense, James.
It was the same as me, maybe. Where, like, I got, like, pretty...
And by the way, I know we say they're printing money, but they don't really print it, by the way. You know, like, what ends up happening is they just add a couple zeros, you know, to the left of the decimal. Like, that's as easy it is this day. The dollar is Shiba Inu. I'm referring to the dollar as Shiba Inu, a meme coin, a meme cryptocurrency, because there's literally more dollars than there are Shiba Inu coins, man. Like, do you understand the ridiculousness of people that are still stuck to a fiat paper system? They think crypto is a Ponzi scheme, and the funniest thing is they're stuck in the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time, man. They can literally create as many tokens, I mean dollars, as they want. Like, it's about being financially smart. It's about taking the time to have some type of financial literacy. Trust me, it's super important so that you're going to be able to handle and weather what's coming. Because all these charts, all these graphs basically are telling you, bend over, grab your ankles. Thank you, Uncle Sam. That's it. End of the story. Let's get to the next.